welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Erica and thank you for clicking on this video. I really appreciate it. As you can tell from the title of this video, I am here with another reading wrap-up, which I'm super excited about because I was in a reading slump for the longest time, but I'm finally back and ready to go, and I have a lot of reading that I plan on doing over the next few months. So I'll be recommending 4 different books for you today. They are mostly in the genre of romance because it was February, so I thought might as well read some romance type novels because it's the month of love, so that's what I did. So before we get into the video, if you haven't already, make sure you go down and hit subscribe so you don't miss any more content from me. It's free, it takes 2 seconds, and I'd really appreciate it. So with that being said, let's get into the first book I read. So like I said, I read this one in the month of January, but I'm just going to include it in my February wrap-up because it was kind of near the end of January and it got me out of my reading slump, so that was good. And that book is Verity by Colleen Hoover. If you've watched any of my book recommendations before or my wrap-up videos, you know that I love Colleen Hoover and I love her writing style, so I saw this one trending everywhere and I thought I had to give it a go. Now this novel is not her normal genre. She's usually a typical romance novel, but this one is definitely more of a thriller. So I was kind of intrigued to see what it would be like because I love her romance novels, so I wanted to give this one a go, and let me tell you, I loved it. So it follows a girl named Lowen, and she is a writer, but she's not very successful. She's always struggling to find a job and she's basically broke, but then she gets offered a deal to finish a book series by this really famous author, Verity Crawford, who just had an accident and she's not able to complete her series on her own. So after a bit of considering the pros and cons, she decides to go through with it, so she is now assigned to finish the remaining 3 books in the series. So with that, she actually ends up going to Verity's house and she ends up living with Verity's husband and her son. She lives there because she has to go through all of Verity's manuscripts of the past novels so that she can understand what to write in the future ones. And she can't really speak to Verity about it because her accident was so bad that she is basically lifeless. Like, she can't talk, she can't move her body, she needs a nurse to help her all the time, so that's why Lowen goes to live with them, just to make it easier. So as she's staying there, she actually gets closer with Jeremy, who is Verity's husband, and she kind of just learns a lot about his life and her life and everything that's happened, and she discovers some pretty awful things that have happened. One of the things she finds out is that Verity and Jeremy did have twin daughters who passed away tragically a little bit before the accident happened with Verity. Now while Lowen is going through all of the manuscripts, she actually comes across this manuscript that she probably shouldn't have found, and it's more of a start of an autobiography that Verity is writing, and it is pretty dark and twisted. Basically through this autobiography, she finds out Verity is this very sick and twisted individual, and when I was reading it, I didn't really know what to believe. It was kind of hard to think that someone could be this cruel, and then you felt bad for Jeremy and the son, and you just had so many questions, but you weren't getting the answers, and it was just like so eerie to read. Now I don't want to spoil anything, but if you know Colleen Hoover, she always throws so many twists in there, and one of the twists that happens near the end had me rethinking the entire thing. Like, I don't even know what to believe anymore. There's so many theories online and everyone is picking sides. I'm on one side. I'm not going to tell you what side because it'll spoil things, but oh my goodness, this had me reading it so quickly. I finished this in maybe 3 to 4 hours, like one sitting for sure, because it was just a page turner. There was like so many different twists and turns throughout the whole thing, and I just couldn't put it down because I just needed to know what happened. And then when you get to the end, you're like, I still don't know what happened. Like, you just start questioning the entire thing. Like, it is so good and so detailed and so well thought out. Definitely check this one out if you like Colleen Hoover as an author, because this is just like a whole new side of her, and I actually think she should write more thrillers because this was so good. So yeah, check out Verity. If you do read it, you have to let me know what side you're on, what you believe, what you don't believe, because this is so sick and twisted, but so good. Okay, the second book I read was The Spanish Love Deception, and I picked this one up because it was one of the books that was trending all over BookTok, and people could not stop talking about it, so I had to see if it was worth all the hype, and I will say I think it was. If you like The Hating Game and The Unhoneymooners, this is basically if those two had a baby. This is a perfect mix between the two of them, and I really enjoyed those other books. Those are some of my favorite books I've ever read, so this one definitely had a lot to live up to, but it was worth the read and it lived up to the expectations. So this one has a workplace romance as well as a wedding fake dating trope, so it's kind of everything you want in a rom-com. So this one's about a girl named Lena, and she works in an engineering company. She's one of the only females that are there, and she's kind of like a leader. She runs her own team and she has a high position. And there's another leader at the company who she doesn't really get along with, and that is Aaron Blackford. Aaron, I love him. So since she started working there, her and Aaron didn't really get along because she overheard him saying some not so nice things about her, so ever since then she's kind of held a grudge because he kind of just makes her feel smaller and like she doesn't deserve to be in the place that she is. So yeah, because of that they don't really get along. He's kind of a more serious person and she's more like a sunshine, so it also has that trope in there, serious boy and sunshine girl. So Lena gets invited to her sister's wedding, but her sister is getting married to Lena's ex-boyfriend's brother. Complicated, I know. So because of that, she does not want to show up to the wedding alone, and she comes up with a little bit of a plan. So Lena decides to tell her family that she has a boyfriend. She doesn't really have a boyfriend, or she's not talking to anyone, but she decides that she's going to find someone to take to the wedding as her boyfriend. So as the wedding is quickly approaching, she does not have a fake boyfriend yet. Then Aaron comes along and he volunteers himself. Lena doesn't really know what to think about this because they don't really like each other, but it turns out that Aaron actually needs someone to be his fake date as well. So they come to the agreement that they're just gonna fake date each other, help each other out at the events that they need to, and then it'll be done. So they end up going to the wedding, which is in Spain, and Aaron gets along great with everyone, and it kind of gets to the point where, is it really fake dating? When you're reading it, you can kind of tell that Aaron might be in it a little bit more than she is, so it's kind of hard to tell whether it's fake for the relationship as a show for everyone else or if he actually means what he's saying. I thought this was really cute. It was really well built up, their relationship. Like, it didn't jump into anything, and it also didn't take way too long. It was like a natural build up, and that's what I really liked about it, because it did have cliches like other books, and like sometimes you don't want super cliches and like predictable. So this one was like a really good balance of all of that, so I think that's one of the reasons why I liked it so much. Yeah, it's really cute. Aaron is perfect. He is like the sweetest human being ever. Like, he will literally do anything for her, and it's so cute. So if you're looking for something that's just like a really easy read and it's kind of cheesy but kind of not, and it's just like a really good connection between the two, check this one out. I think it's definitely up there as one of my favorite books because I just loved the relationship between the two. They had a really good balance off of each other and they helped each other out, and their connection grew naturally, like I said. So it was a beautiful story. It was super cute. So I highly recommend this one. So this next book I literally only read because it was trending all over BookTok and people would not stop talking about it, so once again I needed to see if it was worth the hype, and that is The Love Hypothesis. Right off the bat, I will say I do think it was worth the hype, but it took me a little bit to get into it. Once I did, I could see what everyone was talking about and why they loved it so much, but it did take me a little bit to get it started. This one is another one that is grumpy boy, sunshine girl, workplace romance, fake dating trope, so it's got all of those good things that you want. So it follows the main character Olive, and she is a science grad student. So Olive's best friend is interested in Olive's ex, and Olive doesn't have an issue with this. She's completely okay if they date, but her best friend is feeling guilty about it, so Olive needs to come up with a plan so that she feels okay to go on a date with him. So she decides to tell her that she's dating someone, and the night that she's supposed to be on a date, her best friend sees her inside the lab instead of on a date. And so Olive kind of freaks out, and she finds the first guy she can find and runs up to him and kisses him. So this person ends up being Adam Carlson, who is a professor that everyone fears. He is so strict and he's mean and he fails everyone. So her best friend has a hard time believing that she's actually dating him. So basically the whole book is them deciding to fake date because they both are doing it for different reasons. Olive is doing it so that her best friend feels okay with dating her ex-boyfriend, and Adam is doing it because the school has taken away his grants for his projects because they think he's going to move somewhere else. So he's dating Olive to prove to them that he has some roots there and he's not actually gonna leave. It was a really cute book, and it had its ups and downs like every other book does, but what I liked about this fake dating one is that it wasn't necessarily an enemies to lovers kind of thing. They were both friends, basically. They kind of just said, we're friends, we're gonna help each other out. And you could definitely tell that they both liked each other, but they just weren't doing anything about it. So it was really cute to see them kind of get like flustered or second guess everything, and it had some spicy moments. If you're interested in that, I was kind of like, okay, Adam did not see that side coming. It was definitely more of a cliche than the Spanish love deception, which kind of threw me off because, I mean, I like it, but at the same time, it's just like almost a little bit too cheesy at some point. But it was still really well done, so I did enjoy this one, and I definitely see the hype about it. But yeah, overall, like I said, super cute, really easy to read, and the characters just, I think that's what I liked about it the most, was just the bond between the characters and how they were just helping each other out, and Adam is definitely a I hate everyone in the world but you kind of character, so he would literally do everything for her, and that was just like really cute to read and kind of like put yourself in her position of like thinking someone would do that for you, so it was like really cute. So yes, this one definitely passed the vibe check, and I would say that it is worth the hype, so if you're interested, do check it out. It's trending everywhere and it's definitely worth it. So the last book that I read I actually just finished this morning, and that is One Last Stop. Now this is the same author as Red, White, and Royal Blue, and I really enjoyed that one. I bought this one last summer and still hadn't picked it up, so I thought since it's kind of romancy I should pick it up in February and include it with these ones. I'm gonna be completely honest, it wasn't my favorite. It's not that it was bad, like it was a really good story, but it just, I don't know if I wasn't in the right mindset for it, I'm not really sure. Just wasn't my cup of tea. But with that being said, it still was really good. So this follows our main character, August, and she just moved to New York City. She finds an ad of looking for a roommate, so she moves in with these people called Wes, Mila, and Nico. One thing I did really like about this book is that it was very inclusive. There was very diverse characters, whether that was gender, race, sexuality, all of the above. Like, it did that with this book. So I really thought it was good that there was a good representation for anyone who was reading this. So one day August takes the subway and she runs into this girl and spills coffee all over her, and her name is Jane. And from then they kind of like connect with each other, they see each other on the train all the time, and August gets the courage to ask her out on a date, but Jane says no. So August thinks it's about her and that Jane doesn't really like her, and she kind of like gets upset about that. So as time goes on, August kind of picks up on things that are happening, and she realizes that Jane is trapped on the subway. Like, she literally cannot leave the subway. And so she confronts Jane about it, and Jane is aware of it, but she doesn't really remember anything. She thinks it's only been a little bit of time, but August in her research has discovered it's been like 40 years or something since Jane has been stuck on this subway. So basically it's about August trying to help Jane to retrace her steps and remember her life. So she keeps bringing her things to refresh her memory, and she just helps her remember moments in her life to see if they can trace it back to why she ended up being stuck on the subway. It's got its ups and downs. I enjoyed the characters in it. I think I was more interested and invested in the roommates storyline. Like, I really did like them, but I did like the relationship between Jane and August. I think it was really cute, and I really enjoyed kind of the mystery factor, and it was neat to see all of the storylines that were coming up as she remembered them, like about her past and everything. And you wanted to keep reading because you wanted to figure out why she was trapped. There's a couple twists in there because August herself is also trying to help her mom figure something out, so you're finding out all of these things, and it's predictable, but it's also not. Like, there was a few things that I was like, oh, definitely didn't see that coming, but it was also predictable in the sense of like, yeah, I could see that happening. There was a part in the book that I actually want to read to you because I felt like I could really connect to it, and it was probably one of my favorite parts in it. Basically, August finds out that she is able to graduate soon, but Jane notices that she looks upset. And she explained to her basically being in school is like the only thing she knows how to do. She says, I don't know how to have something I can do every day like an adult who does things. It's nuts that we all start out having these vague ideas of what we like to do, hobbies, interests, and then one day everyone has their thing, you know? They used to be a person and now they're an architect or a banker or a lawyer or a serial killer who makes jewelry out of human teeth. Like, things that they do, that they are. What if there's not that thing for me, Jane? I mean, like, what if I never wanted to be anything other than just August? The reason I like that is because I can definitely relate to it. I have no idea what I'm doing with my life, and I'm sure there's a lot of you who also feel the same way, and you see your classmates or your peers who are finishing school and they're going on to do something that they've imagined in their head for years. But for me, it's not like that. I don't really know what I want to do. I don't really know who I am, and that's kind of what August is saying as well. She's like, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want. What if there isn't anything for me? And that's exactly how I feel. I mean, I have interests, but like, who am I? Do we really ever know who we are? Like, I don't know what I want. So that's why I really like that part. It was kind of like a self-discovery phase for August as well. Like, by the end of it, she kind of realizes what she wants to do because of the events that have happened, and it made me feel like maybe one day I will figure it out for myself as well. But yes, even though it wasn't my favorite, I do still recommend it. It had really good aspects in it, so if you're looking for something that is very inclusive and representation is very well, and it just has a cute little storyline with some mystery aspects in there, check this one out. I think you'll like it. So that is it. That is all I read in the month of February. As I said, I was in a reading slump, but now I think I'm out of it, which is good. I do have a couple books that I plan on reading in March, but if you've been here before and you know that I like BTS, I do plan on doing a Namjoon's library reading wrap-up kind of vlog style video in the next couple of months. I've seen a couple people do it, and I've also seen just Namjoon's reading library has been like displayed at bookstores, so I plan on going through and just like reading a couple of his recommendations, so I think that'll be kind of fun. But yeah, that is the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below if you've read any of these or if you have any recommendations for me. I do have an Amazon wishlist where I put all of the books that I'm planning to read eventually. If you want to check that out, it'll be linked in my description. If you also want to follow me on my social media, I will link that in the description down below as well. And like I said at the beginning, don't forget to go down and hit subscribe so you don't miss any more content from me. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!